All right, so now we're going to move on to the next page and we are going to set up some problems to try together. So we're going to go through all the steps together and practice. So as tempting as it is to work ahead, I'm going to ask you to work with me for these two problems. The first thing I'm going to do is think about how I need to show all my work. I don't want to rush through and not show my work. I want to take my time. So let's do, at the top, we're going to write try it to remind yourself, if you look back at your notes, that these are some examples you can look at to remember the strategy. All right, and then let's start with problem number 1. Problem number 1 is going to be 487 divided by 5. So when we show our work, we start by setting up the problem. All right, so step 1, actually I shouldn't call that setting up the problem. I should call that writing the problem. We start by writing the problem. All right, now looking back at my notes that I took earlier, my first step is to set up the problem. So I'm going to write 400, I'm going to skip a couple lines so I've got room to divide, and I'm going to write 487 divided by 5. Step 1 tells me to set up the problem, and then step 2 tells me to set up my table of multiples. So that's what I'm going to do next. And since I'm dividing by 5, I'm going to write times 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. This is the strategy. All right, now that I've set up my table of multiples, I'm going to look back at my notes and I know I'm going to go through all the long division steps. I'm going to divide, then multiply, then subtract, and then bring it down until I've done all the steps. In fact, on the next slide, there's a really silly video that I'm going to let you watch that always helps me. It's silly, so you have to bear with me, but the next video has a silly song that always helps me remember the steps. All right, so here I go. Looking at this first place value, I need to divide. I've got a 4, so I'm thinking 4 divided by 5. If I only have 4 pieces, I don't have enough to make a group. So 0 groups. There's my dividing. Now I'm going to multiply. 0 times 5 is 0. Careful with those zeros. Now I can subtract. 4 minus 0 is still 4. And bring it down. I can bring down my next digit. Now I'm working with 48 divided by 5. 48 divided by 5. And I can go looking down my list of multiples. Oh wow, it's down here at the bottom. 45. So I'm going to be able to say 48 divided by 5 is going to be 9. That's my closest multiple. So I can make 9 groups. That's my dividing. Now I multiply. 9 times 5 is 45. Then subtract. 8 minus 5 is 3. 4 minus 4 is 0. And I'll bring it down. And that 7 comes down here to make 37. All right, so now I have 37 divided by 5. If I look in my table of multiples, I see that 5 times 7 is 35. That's my closest. So 37 divided by 5, my closest multiple is 7. Divided. Now that I divided, I'm going to multiply. 7 times 5 is 35. Subtract. 7 minus 5 is 2. 3 minus 3 is 0. And I want to go back and check, is there anything else to bring down? There's nothing there. So there's nothing else to bring down, which means what's left over, this 2, is going to be my remainder. So then I'm going to go back to my original problem to show my work, and I can say 487 divided by 5 equals 97 remainder 2. And then I want to circle my answer to make it really clear. So that's the strategy I'm looking for. Now, in order to show my next problem, I'm going to be sneaky. I'm just going to draw a line. And I'm ready to set up problem 2. For problem 2, we're going to do 209 divided by 4. We wrote the problem. Now let's set it up. we have, I'm going to skip a couple lines. I'm going to write 209 divided by 4. So step 1 is set up the problem. Step 2 is build your table of multiples. Times 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36. All right, I built my table of multiples. Now I'm ready to go back and check my notes. I'm going to use that strategy that repeats. I'm going to divide, then multiply, then subtract, then bring it down. All right, so I'm looking at my 2. 2 divided by 4, not enough. I can't make any groups. That's a 0. Then multiply. 0 times 4 is 0. Then subtract. Hey, 2 minus 0 is 2. And bring it down. So my 0 comes down here. Now I'm doing 20 divided by 4. Ooh, that's a good one. I know I can make 5 groups. So I'm going to divide. 20 divided by 4 is 5. Then multiply. 5 times 4 used up 20 pieces. Then subtract zeros. Hey, and bring it down. There's my 9. Now I'm ready to divide all over again. Divide. 9 divided by 4. Ooh, my closest groups is 2. Now I can multiply. 2 times 4 is 8. Then subtract. 9 minus 8 is 1. And bring it down. Oh, there's nothing else to bring down. That means that 1 is my remainder. So 209 divided by 4 equals 52, remainder 1. And then I'm going to circle that to show it's my answer. All right, that's 2 problems on this page. I'm ready to go on to the next problem. So in order to make my work clear, I'm just going to draw a line to separate the work from those problems. And I'm ready to set up the next one. For the next problem, we're going to do a little bit longer one. This is going to be our last practice problem on these notes. For this one, let's divide a bigger number. For this one, we're going to divide 8,614 divided by 7. All right, so we wrote the problem. Step 1 says set it up like long division. So I'm going to give myself a couple lines of space for my long division, and I'm going to write 8,614. Now notice, I didn't write the comma. Here's why. Once we start dividing with decimals, commas can easily look like decimals in your division. So I leave it out, and I will write the comma in my answer if there's a comma in my answer. I don't like to put commas in my division, long division algorithms. All right, step 1 was write the problem. Step 2 is build your table of multiples. Since this problem is longer, I think it's going to need more space. So I'm going to come out here and build my table of multiples times 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56, 63. All right, I've got my table of 7s built. Now I'm ready to go through the steps. First you divide, then multiply, then subtract, and you've probably heard me say, hey, and bring it down. If you're wondering what I'm doing, you'll find out in the next page of our work. All right, so divide, multiply, subtract, and bring it down. In fact, while you're here, let's go over and underline those in our notes. First you divide, then multiply. Actually, we'll underline the whole word. Then subtract and bring it down. All right, so I'm ready to start doing the work. I'm going to start here with 8 divided by 7. If I have 8 pieces, I have enough to make one group of 7. There's my divide. Then multiply. 1 times 7 is 7. then subtract, hey, and bring it down. Now I'm working with 16. 16 divided by 7 is enough to make 2 groups. 2 times 7 is 14. Then subtract, hey, and bring it down. Now I'm working with 21. Ooh, 21 is in my table of multiples, so I can make 3 groups. And I've got 3 times 7 is 21. Nothing left. Bring down my 4. Now I'm working with the number 4. This is where I see kids make mistakes, so be careful. I still have to divide even though I look at my table of multiples and there isn't enough. So I don't have enough to make a group. I still need to put a number there. I can make 0 groups. 0 times 7 is 0. 4 minus 0 is still 4. And there's nothing else to bring down, so that's my remainder. Remainder 4. Now I didn't give myself enough room to write my answer here, so this time I'm going to do an equal sign and I'm just going to circle this. It's not as nice looking, but because I ran out of room, it just seems the most logical to me. All right, so these are the steps. This is what I'm looking for from you as you do long division and show your thinking. When you move into your fluency review or IXL or whatever it is you're using for whatever the teacher's asking of you as you're practicing this skill, this is what I'm looking for. I am looking for students who are showing all of their thinking. Don't turn in work where your work is missing. All right, go ahead and pause if you need to. Make sure your notes are caught up, and then you can move on to the next activity.